good around you, bring positivity. May you always earn a living that is honest and true to yourself through Ayurveda. And may you thrive. May people just adore you, and may your practices grow abundantly. And we're so excited today to see your case study one by one, those of you who have uploaded to Google Drive. So let's start.
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Can you all hear me? Oh, great. I'm not sure if you can really see the case study. It's pretty small. Should I switch over to my Google Drive and share my desktop? A female in her Pitta age. Her name is Amira. I actually chose to keep my names on there. Helped me better keep track of my clients. She was a massage client I had at my school, and I noticed right away she was Vata and was dealing with some anxiety. So I asked if I could do her case study, and she loved the idea. So we worked over the course of a few months, actually. I had first seen her in March, and so I started her case study really early and collected a lot of data on her. But it wasn't until, honestly, just recently that I found out she was on some pretty heavy medication for depression, and one of the medications I found was for schizophrenia. So I never got a confirmation from her what that schizophrenia medication was for. I saw that it can also be helped with depression, so I'm assuming it's maybe that. She's a very functioning adult. She's a hygienist and works full-time. She's going to school to study. I'm not sure what she's studying, but she has a lot of Vata disturbances, and she also presents with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a kapha issue. So I did ask the teachers, I was a little confused how she's presenting with very high Vata disturbance, but she has a kapha imbalance that's really affecting her life. When you have PCOS, you're having a lot of painful periods. She's also having from that some bacterial overgrowth of the small intestine, which I thought at first was kind of like a candida, but she said it's different. As I looked into it a little more, I mean, everything she's eating, she's bloating. It says here, even after just a few bites, she's getting bloating, irregular periods. Sometimes she skips months in between. And because of the PCOS, she also has insulin resistance. So on top of the anxiety and depression, she has a lot of things going on. I don't see the second page here. I'm not sure if, thank you. Because I did this with all my case studies, I realized the more I learned about the client, the more complex they are. And honestly, I find everyone I'm doing, everyone's really complex. We're all completely unique, and everything affects, there's so many things that affect your well-being that I decided to write down for myself how the subdoshas are affected, how the dhatus are affected, and also the shrotas. I did that for every client just so I could really get a clear picture of what could possibly be going on. And so, like I said, she has a lot of Vata imbalances. She's, appearance-wise, she seems very spaced out. She's cold, dry skin. She seems lethargic. She didn't really seem happy, and she's having a hard time eating. She was also started to do some Herbalife shakes every day because everything she was eating was affecting her stomach negatively. So she just thought, I'll just drink my diet. But that has a lot of, synthetic things in there like artificial sweeteners, and so I've since told her that she needs to cut back on that and eat more whole foods. What else here? So here's the kapha disturbance, PCOS. I did write that I was confused by that. I'm not really sure how that came into the picture, but because she's got such a big kapha disturbance, why wouldn't it show in her malapariksha? I didn't see it showing in her malapariksha. She actually was showing a little bit more of vata or a pitta. So again, I found her a little confusing. Going through all the dhatus, obviously with the PCOS, her atavavaha shrotas is really affected. I put here affected by the heavy sticky qualities of kapha and ama, creating shrota dushti. The accumulated kapha is expressed in the form of cysts in the ovaries. So given that her natural prakruti is a vata, I'm assuming here her vata has gone way out of balance, and it's affecting her other doshas. She did show in her prakruti that she shows a little bit more of an imbalance in her pitta, but again, what I was seeing come through was more of a combination of vata and pitta, the kapha was the one that was showing more in the vata, not the pitta. So once I found out she was on all those medications, Zoloft and Prolixin, and had been on years of birth control, literally from the start of menstruation at 16 to 23 years old, and then she changed over to an IUD from 24 to 25, and again went back on to birth control from 26 to 28, and she's 29. So most of her menstruating life, she's been on birth control pill. I really believe that has a strong influence in her problems today with her PCOS, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. I just really believe that disrupts such a natural cycle, and I feel like that has a big, it's a big contributing factor. So if we could go to the next page, please. Okay, there's the shortest. Again, just me kind of trying to determine how all these factors play into affecting all her different channels. I wrote down her current diet, which shows the herbal life shakes, contains the sucralose. Lunch and dinner, she's eating, unfortunately, raw foods. At the time, she was eating a lot of raw foods, which I explained to her, well, that can cause gas and bloating as well, especially as a vata. She doesn't have a high digestive fire. She needs to eat more softer foods, things that are easier to digest. And she didn't really seem to talk about any exercise habits. I still was waiting to get that from her. We can go to the next page. Oh, I'm sorry. I did want to just say she was drinking caffeine. When I first met her, she was drinking a lot more caffeine. So she had cut that down through the course of a few months, which was good. She didn't need to add anything to her, feeling spaced out and stimulate her nervous system anymore, because she already had a lot of anxiety. The hetus, she said she was going through a lot of stress at work and in her personal life. She was depressed. I definitely see that she was eating the wrong diet for vata. The medication, absolutely, that completely affects your digestion. Both medications, constipation, dry mouth, the Zoloft decreases appetite. Again, these things are affecting her natural processes. The birth control, caffeine. She's got some stresses in her life with school and work full time. She did explain to me she ate every 2 hours, and I explained to her that that doesn't help with digestion. She needs to fully digest her meal before she takes in more food. So we talked about that. The herbal life shakes, I explained that to her as well. So my estimation here was that she's clearly taking in several vata-inducing items from the stress of school and work, and the medication she's on, her diet. So it's easy to see how her vata has come out of balance, and it can easily affect both pitta and kapha. And again, the birth control pill, I really believe I think it has a lot to do with her PCOS and small bacterial overgrowth. If you see here, I have a question for the teachers, how I wasn't really sure how it's not showing in her Malapariksha that she's got a kapha imbalance. Maybe I assumed that it doesn't really always have to show there. It can show in other ways where she's had this disorder. So not really knowing at this point. We can go to the next page if you don't mind. I did say I feel like she needs to totally detox with panchakarma, but I didn't believe she would be maybe open to that or have the ability. I know it's very expensive, unfortunately. So I thought, and the teachers concurred, the way to help her at this point is to help her with her diet and suggest some herbs to help support her, especially if she can't get off the medication. You know, not knowing her severity of depression and if that other medication is in fact for schizophrenia. I did not get that confirmed yet. We've been communicating through email only for a long time, so I'm waiting to hear back from her on that. Oh, yes, absolutely. If everyone wants to read that, let me know when you're all set. Is everyone able to read it and see it appropriately? I don't know if you're just seeing what I have. I only have the second half. Please let me know if I need to adjust something here. Should I go on? Oh, okay. So for her protocol, I first wanted to remove the ama, of course. She definitely showed signs of that. She had a white coating on her tongue. She was very tired after eating, very heavy. Of course, we talked about all the gas and bloating. Her digestion was just really not, it was definitely slowed down by ama. So I first want to remove the ama and increase the agni. So an anti-kapha diet. I thought maybe a mono diet of khichdi might help for a little bit, just to really take some stress off the digestive system. And of course, avoiding cold raw foods, plenty of warm water, eat meals at regular times, you know, the idea of not snacking every 2 hours, and definitely removing the Herbalife shakes. And I would suggest Triphala and Trikatu to help with removing the ama. And here is my question to the teachers, showing, you know, given all her medication, I don't feel she can really completely detox. So how do you really help someone this way? I was not really sure. How am I going to make an impact for her? And taking care of her diet and removing some ama alone can definitely lighten her up. And perhaps maybe that'll be a seed planted to further continue in Ayurveda for her, hopefully. Otherwise, you know, I'm going to try to support her the best I can. Then once she has relief in her digestive system, again, not sure how completely that will show, but, you know, talk to her about a Vata pacifying diet, really what foods she needs to, types of food she needs to focus on. And then lifestyle modifications, given her anxiety and depression, I really find that obviously yoga and meditation would be really beneficial for her to help settle Vata, and introduce pranayama, some aromatherapy. And aromatherapy is kind of like a quick method to help someone change their brain chemistry, so that would be really powerful for her. Lavender, patchouli, sandalwood, all these things are relaxing and grounding for her depression, some geranium or orange. Also inhalation with aromatherapy as well. I found a little combination there that would be helpful. And I also suggested some calming pressure points. And Abhyanga, of course, for Vata with sesame oil, always wonderful. Let's see. I started with the kapha pacifying because I noticed she had lots of ama in her body, and it was sticky, and it was absolutely like sludge in her body. So definitely the kapha pacifying first. And if we want to go to the next page, if everyone's ready for me to do that, some herbs I suggested. Kanchanara Guggulu with Prananavati Guggulu, that's shown to be really great for PCOS because they decrease the kapha ama and it helps clear congestion in the pelvic cavity. Ashwagandha for anxiety, and also she was actually the first case study. No, she wasn't my first case study, I'm sorry, but she was my first really case study that had some pitta imbalance. So I realize now that ashwagandha can be a little heating, but since she's mostly Vata, I thought maybe she could handle that. We'd have to watch for that. Gaimanema tea, I'm not familiar with that one, but that's okay. To regulate the insulin, that's why you're suggesting that. Yeah, I found cinnamon, basil, and fenugreek could be added to food, and tulsi tea, but I'll have to look into that one. Thank you for the suggestion. Oh, great. Okay. Thank you. And to help remove cysts, I found that warm castor oil packed on the abdomen helps with that. It absorbs into the abdomen and it helps dissolve those cysts. And for her insomnia and depression, I suggested maybe valerian tea at night. I know there's a few other things that can be help her relax, but I thought since she seems really off balance there, especially if she's on such strong medication. And I suggested perhaps the high quality probiotic until she has a little bit more power in her digestive system, just to help, you know, populate her intestinal flora with some beneficial bacteria. I think that's all I have there. If anyone has any questions, I'm sorry that I make these, they're really long because I'm really just trying to figure out, you know, what is all coming into play here. So please feel free to ask me any questions if you have any.
Dr. Aparna, do you have any questions or pearls of wisdom here? Aparna ji?
Yes, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that again? I didn't hear you. I had my volume really low.
I said, do you have any additions or pearls of wisdom?
I think this is excellent. Monica J, I really liked the last suggestion you made about the jamun. I think that's an excellent idea. And you can get jamun juice at Indian grocery stores. So, you know, just a small, you know, not like by the glass full, but, you know, a small amount, you know, maybe 4 ounces at a time would be, I think, a good idea. Although when you juice something, you do lose a lot of the fiber and other supporting, you know, components of a fruit. But I do think jamun is a great blood sugar modulator.
Great, thank you.
Leah, do you have a few additions? Leah, do you have a few additions? Oh, okay.
Thank you.
All right. So first of all, it was amazing, Tracy, and it's such a pleasure to go through. It's like it's 6 pages of you cover everything. It's so beautiful, and I also love the fact that you actually use the case study itself to you know, use it as a tool to learn. It's almost like you're learning from the beginning to the end. So that's pretty amazing. So really good job. I'm going to open this up to other students if they have any questions. Brian, do you have any questions? Brian, do you have any questions? Anyone else? Aditi, Alexis, any questions? Okay, perfect. So one thing is because Kanchanar Gugulu and Punarnavadi Gugulu are a little hard to digest, and because she has, you know, an endocrine imbalance, she's on SSRIs, you know, her digestion's not okay, then she has dysbiosis, which is very common in a kapha person to have dysbiosis, and she has intestinal overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth. And at this point, you know, digesting both Kanchanar, even though it does help with the cyst, so I would start off with, you know, maybe increasing her Agni Deepan, and then giving herbs that are more easy to digest. Everything else here is fine. And then moving her to just Punarnava, because Punarnava, you know, the cysts are all basically fluids that are, you know, so all the artava, the menstrual fluid, which is not excreted, and all the unfertilized egg, so body treats it like an open wound, and you know, so kapha builds around it. So there's definitely a water issue here. So Punarnava, I would start off with just the Punarnava. Yes, it's just like, yeah, body will cover any kind of open fluid or blood inside. I mean, it's all fluid. Yes, the kapha will cover it. But the point is, I never want to start off with, Gugulu is a little hard to digest. So I mean, I would probably just start with Agni Deepan.
Okay.
So maybe teas, and also, you know, instead of just starting off with a kapha pacifying, because her mind is disturbed, so kapha vata pacifying, which meaning a lot of warming foods, and ashwagandha maybe, you know, just to get her, because she's fatigued, right? She has the symptoms of, so I would start with ashwagandha, because ashwagandha is great for both kapha vata. So Agni Deepan, and also ashwagandha is a little heating, so that's fantastic. It's great for both. And then, you know, as her Agni is increasing, I would just add Punarnava to start with.
Okay. Now, even though she's got a little bit of a pitta imbalance too, with her, you know, 1 to 2 BMs a day, soft stool.
Yeah.
Okay, ashwagandha. Okay.
So Punarnava will, you know, it is a rasayana, so it does act as a little bit of laxative, and there's any kind of excessive fluid in the body. It starts drying out that excessive fluid. It also will help with the intestinal bacterial overgrowth, dysbiosis. It will help in a lot. And after a few, but it is a rasayana, so it is not going to disturb
her systems so much. But it does, because it dries you out. You'll have to take more teas.
Okay.
And then after, and of course, you've already given ashwagandha. So ashwagandha I would put right on the top, and everything else. And after a couple of weeks, maybe, as she is getting regular bowel movement, she's not feeling any bloating, then add Kanchanar and Punarnavadi Kukalu after maybe 3-4 weeks, maybe even a few months.
Okay.
That is a good idea, Sarita. I would say that would help. I would also probably use Vidanga. If you remember, I don't know if we covered Vidanga. It's one of the best things for Krimi. It's Krimigna. So Vidanga is great. And another thing which you can give right in the beginning, I don't know, because when somebody is on that many drugs and there are so many after effects, I don't want to give too much herbs anyway.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Keep it simple. But yeah, everything else is great. Give Nima tea. And also, there's vaginal busties that can be done in that area with Ashoka Rishta maybe also. And of course, castor oil packs are absolutely amazing too. And I would also just add one thing, is some head massages. I mean,
oh, right, yeah, for her kapha imbalance. Her vata imbalance.
Yeah, and she definitely has a Jyotish Mahadasha going on. I don't know what she is, probably in her moon or Jupiter. Like, it's all water. And I know this because I'm a kapha, and when my water increases, these things happen. It's it's a water-related planet which is affecting her. So probably either moon or Jupiter. So. Yeah, it'd
be interesting to find out her birth date, her birth time. Yeah.
If she's interested, Atul can do her chart, and she can give a donation. So that's it, and that's really good. Really great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Only one thing I would like to add is both Dr. Aparna and I were a little confused by this.
By which one?
It was this. While you were explaining, we were going, having our own. This one, we were very confused where she was getting her information from. I think what she was probably describing, like Ranjak Pitta manifesting as acne, I get it in other cases, but it has no relation with polycystic ovary syndrome. Brajak Pitta, I understand, because your menstrual fluid is a byproduct of Rasadhatu. So and Rasadhatu also creates the top layer of the skin. So when Rasadhatu is affected, menstrual fluid is affected, and also the top layer of skin, which has Brajak Pitta, is also affected. The only thing Ranjak doesn't make sense. We were just thinking she probably did some client encounters, and this is out of context.
Okay.
So this does not make, and yeah, there is excessive body hair, but that is nothing to do with the doshas. It's to do with, people with high amounts of estrogen or a hormonal imbalance will have a chin hair and body hair and so on. So I don't think this has been explained properly. So
okay, so don't take that resource as is.
No, yeah. If you want to take a resource as is, there are these studies that they do, and when they're quoting, it's from either a study or it's from one of these books. If it is written by it's they're giving a reference of Charak Samhita or Madhav Nidan or some kind of study that was done in India, then I kind of understand it. But okay, I'm not going to record this. So this is Neelam's, and the chief, she wrote a big story about her client, which is great because she thinks about it. This one was the concerns was bloating. You would be surprised, Leah. 7 out of 10 clients that I see have bloating. What are people eating? Everybody is bloated irrespective of what their dosha is. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Yeah, it's also lifestyle and how people are eating, what times, how often, sitting in front of TV. People are not eating, food combinations. It's an epidemic in this country.
Yeah, everybody, because when I give them the form, everybody signs off. Whether they have Tikshnagni or Mandagni, they all sign off bloating and flatulence. I'm like, what do you guys eat? Yeah.
And nobody
All
knows how to
right.
prepare
This
food properly.
person, it's a pitta. Go on. Were you saying something, Leah?
Oh, I was just saying nobody prepares their food properly either. Nobody cooks their food properly, and it's pranaless. It doesn't have any prana, so there's no way to digest it.
Well, this sounds typical when if you just look at bloating, vata issue, weight gain, kapha issue, emotional feelings of anger, resentment, envy, kapha pitta issue, vertigo, vata issue, insomnia, could be vata or pitta issue, lack of mental clarity, vata issue, no longer an eloquent speaker, pitta issues, and udanavayu. There you go. Pitta and vata is increased, white coating on the tongue. Mental, doesn't it sound like this person has ama? All of this. Yes, between the white coating, mental lethargy, not having mental clarity. And this is, one of the tests, I don't think I ever mentioned it. Some Ayurvedic Vaidyas in India, I'm talking about the ones that have, they make you speak a Sanskrit verse, a mantra or a shlok. Just like you go to an eye doctor and they make you cover your eyes and say the A, E, I, E, O, whatever. They do that, and the way you speak tells them how your vayu, your vata is, especially your udana and pran. So the fact that is having trouble speaking, sadhak pitta, I'm just looking at the health concerns and telling you, sadhak pitta is affected, and speech centers of the brain is affected. That means pran is affected, udan vayu is affected, ama, repressed feelings of, this is a mental issue. This is, and I'm just going to write, I think this is a psychological. Manasa client. The client described the digestion is poor. So Neelam is not here. I'm just going to give a feedback. It is an awesome case study. There's this, but when you're doing a case study, it is better to list the things. Otherwise, the person who's reading your notes, these are not like hospital chart notes, but if you look at like this, what Tracy Ann did, where everything is in gender, age, place, time, Jyotish, Agni Pariksha, Mala Pariksha. There's a reason, because it makes sense for us when you're writing long lists, which is very nice, but it has we have a hard time reading it. So a better thing to do is like bullet points and lists. Yeah, Sadhak Pitta, here you go. Vyanavayu, Samanavayu, Udanavayu, I already knew all of that. Fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, dairy. I think the what thing to do is Agni Deepan, Pachan, and meditation. Agni Deepan, Pachan, meditation, and yoga. Anyone else? Leah, Aparnaji, do you have any quick additions? Yeah, I like to look at things simply. It's my 14th, 15th year into practice, and one of the things that I've noticed about myself, how when you first graduate from a practitioner school, you want to give them 24, 30 pages of protocols. The more I practice, my protocols are becoming simpler and simpler. I just want them to make a change, one change at a time. Yesterday, somebody was here, we finished our everything in 45 minutes. And she said, what else? I said, you are 70 years old. If you can do these 6 things, I'll feed you lunch. And she started laughing. 6 things, that's what I gave her. She was amazing. She had been following Ayurveda by herself for 30 years, and she had never been to an Ayurvedic practitioner. Awesome person. He was saying, what about my sadhak? I said, come join my school, then understand what sadhak pitta is. You cannot learn it from the internet. So I think this is it. I'll give more. So doing it in a list is good because, oh my God, who's going to read all that? Well, it's Neelam is an attorney, so I understand she likes to write. Look at the summary. I call it an essay. It's beautiful, though. All right, let's go to Brian. That's very interesting. Brian actually went through this. Um, he just chose a very interesting case study. Brian, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, oh, you've changed my tables a little bit. Look at that. All right, so I did this while we were studying the dhatus and turned it into a case study when we were looking at Mamsa dhatus. So this person, let's see, 48 years old, she's got a long history of autoimmune things going on. So at 7, she was diagnosed with scleroderma, and how that manifested was she would get bands, collagen bands forming around her arms and legs. Right, and then went into remission, and then she had another outbreak at 16, and additionally now she had strictures forming around her esophagus. And what they were doing for that, they would run just run something down her esophagus to break up the strictures. And I think this happens with other autoimmune things. When she got pregnant at 29, the esophageal strictures went into remission. And so she had two pregnancies, and then at 35, after that, she got, let's see, rheumatoid arthritic hands. And her knuckles are protruding, and she's got, let's see, cysts in the joints, and kind of chronic pain and inflammation in her knuckles. So let's see. Another outbreak at 40 with strictures in the esophagus. They had a little better treatment than when she was younger. They would stick something down her esophagus and inflate it rather than put progressively larger rods down her esophagus to break them up. So now we get to now. Let me scroll down a little bit here. She's got a little red patch of collagen on her calf. She's got, protruding knuckles like people with arthritis do. And she's had weight gain over the last 5 years, from the belly button down, hips and thighs and some belly. She gets occasional edema. She's lost strength and gets some loss of strength in her hands and sharp joint pain. I was looking at this from a physique point of view, so full cheekbones and neck. So let's see, she's taking Prilosec and antacids as needed. She takes a diuretic as needed for when she has edema. Her lifestyle, she's an accountant and works from home and doesn't follow regular hours, so she's sitting at home in front of a computer a lot. Let's see, she eats 3 times a day with some snacks and likes to snack on sweet, juicy, and tart foods. She's eating, let's see, oatmeal, eggs, vegetables, let's see, peanut butter. Let's see, she sleeps 6 to 7 hours a night and usually sleeps through the night. I know sometimes she says she'll sleep on a little wedge, so her shoulders are above her stomach to stop an acid reflux thing going on. So, she exercises sporadically. We'll do some walks and a little yoga. She's got a Pitta emotional type. She's very pleasant, but there's like a little angry underneath the surface. And let's see, her skin is soft and rosy. So I broke this down a little further. Can we go to the next page? Let's see how these came out. When I looked at the subdoshas, I didn't see any strong subdosha symptoms for Vata. Under Pitta, let's see, sensitive to the sun, acid reflux, heartburn. And let's keep going. I think I've got Kapha coming up. There we go. Oh, those didn't come through. All right, let's go to Dhatus. All right, so she has weakness in her hands, inflammation in her joints, swelling in the ankles, cysts in her joints, joint pain, heaviness in hips and thighs. This is all Mamsa Dhatu indicators I was stressing here. And I think we can go to the next page. Thank you. So we're looking at her Prakriti and her Vikriti. I mean, she's a strong Pitta, Prakriti-wise, and it's even elevated more in the Vikriti. And her Pariksha, she's got strong. I mean, it's hot. If she eats spicy, she'll just heat up. You touch her skin, it's very, very, very warm. Let's see. Let's see. So, yes, obstruction in her esophagus. So let's see. I'm looking at her mouth. It has scleroderma, is in the skin. Some strictures around the esophagus. There's excess heaviness in the thighs. There's also cysts that grow in her knuckles. So it's all Mamsa Dhatu disturbance. Okay, we can go to the next page. Okay, can we go to the next page? Yeah, who said not just Mamsa? Yeah, there's some Kapha as well. Right. Okay, so there's probably lots of dosha factors at play here that should be centered around pacifying, Pitta pacifying promotes, since she has Pitta digestion with acid reflux and heartburn, and since scleroderma is also kind of an autoimmune, and she has inflamed and pain in the joints. So, like I say, there's more than one thing going on here, but I would think the place to start is cooling down the Pitta. I mean, she has lots of acid reflux. She's taking Prilosec, she's taking antacids. As they were taking the strictures out of her esophagus, they had damaged the flap, so she has lesions that form, as the acid comes back up into the esophagus. So the first place I would recommend for her is to have the Pitta pacifying cooling lifestyle, cooling diet. And she needs to eat regular meals. as a person that works at home and will get on the computer and do some audit for 8 hours and then, oh, I forgot to eat, and then she'll eat a lot. Since I went over this with her, she has discovered if she stops eating early in the evening, she doesn't, she's not nearly as hot when she's sleeping at night. If she eats past 7, if she eats anything, she is going to bed and just laying there and, you know, can't even put the covers on her. She's so hot. So what I'm recommending here is following the cooling protocol, and then on those times where she's got edema, doing the drying protocol. But keeping with the cool, let's see what we got here. Lesions in the sphincter, no, lesions on the esophagus. Okay, so that's where I'm at with this person is cool down the fire in the belly, cool down the agni, and then do some drying things when days where there's she'll get like swollen ankles and things, and it'll be short term. It's not a chronic thing, but does come. All right, I think that's the end of my words here. Let me scroll down a little. At the end.
Brian, I'm just giving everybody a chance to read this.
Oh, okay.
Let's start with Dr. Aparna.
I did not notice she, like typical Pitta, has several BMs a day. And there was not a lot of Pitta on the tongue, Pitta, Ama, that I could see on the tongue. And by the way, her pulse was jumping quite. It was very easy to diagnose. I've taken it several times, and it's always jumping. It's always jumping right under the middle finger. So
it's a Pitta pulse every single time.
Yeah, it's Pitta.
What about the Prakriti in the pulse?
Yes.
What about the Prakriti in the Nadi? That's the Vikriti, right? But when you press harder.
Right.
Okay.
When I press harder, there's some Kapha Pitta on when I press harder.
Kapha Pitta?
Right.
Okay.
So the Prakriti is Kapha Pitta, and the Vikriti is almost all Pitta.
Let me write that down. Pitta predominant. All right, so I'm going to ask Aparna ji. She just shared a really good study on scleroderma up here. I will share it again. You'll find it interesting, Brian. Leah, okay. Leah, do you have any comments?
I thought that was really good, and she obviously has some Pitta aggravating lifestyle and dietary issues, and you know, the scleroderma from a very early age. So I think he's right on taking the Pitta approach.
Tracy Ann, do you have any comments or additions or questions? Tracy Ann, do you have any questions? No, Prakriti, he said that Prakriti was mostly Pitta, but there was a cough up at the, yes. Okay. All right, then I will give my, anyone else has any comments or questions for Brian? So Rekhaji, when people have scleroderma, there's a lot, it's an autoimmune issue and there's a lot of things happening. And edema sometimes happens as well. So Brian, Dr. Monica Singhal used to be a dermatologist, so maybe later when she looks at this, she just joined very late, she could also give some comments. But I wanted to, you were absolutely on the right track. You're absolutely on the right track. I would definitely start with this. I wanted to talk about herbs. I probably would want to start with the, sorry about that, what's happening? Amalaki also, Agni pacifying, and Amalaki and ghee, along with the whole sweet cooling. That is the first step. And also one of the best herbs for scleroderma and acidity and acid reflux and edema and autoimmune, pretty much, 7 out of 10, all her issues would be Manjushtha Adhikwata. So Manjushtha Adhikwata. Just you can, she can even make it herself. So Manjushtha, I think we have read about and done Manjushtha in our classes. So not only Manjushtha helps with it gives structure to the stool. It'll help with her pitta stools. It will help with the scleroderma. And also, I have a sneaky suspicion that this lady has some Mars issue going on because she's had it since she was a kid. And, when there's a Mars issue, I can't really say, but usually Mars will cause all this, autoimmune. It'll burn up the immunity literally. Sometimes other planets do it too, but Manjushtha actually helps. Manjushtha and Rakta Chandan actually help with those planetary issues as well. And when it's made into Kvata, which is a Kashaya form, you can get a ready-made. I'll share a link with you. It really, really helps. That'll help with pretty much her autoimmune edema, scleroderma, inflammation, not the pain, but for pain, do you have any suggestions for her for pain in the joints? Yes, Boswellia is good, but yeah, for pain probably ashwagandha or putting Bala Ashwagandhadi Tailam on the knees or her joints regularly. The reason I'm saying Bala Ashwagandhadi and I'm not saying Mahanarayan may be too heating, and also she has a lot of inflammation. So I would even suggest that she wear pearls. I don't know. I mean, she definitely needs to do her Jyotish. Pearls help cool down a body, and she worship Hanuman. I don't know if she's open to it, just for therapeutic purposes. Worshiping Hanuman, because yes, it's yes. I know this is going off, but Manjushtha and Manjushtha Agni pacifying Amalaki ghee, even because her rasa, for Mamsa Dhatu to be affected, her rasa dhatu is affected, and that's why it's coming out in the scleroderma is a rasa dhatu issue. So there are multiple things that are happening in the first. So rasa dhatu, you can always help the rasa dhatu. Pitta has entered the rasa dhatu. That's why her Brajak Pitta is affected. So I don't know if she had also scaling, or there's so many ways it manifests on the skin. So we don't have pictures.
Yeah, no scaling.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a link that Dr. Aparna shared. Let me share it with everybody, then everybody can get to see it. Hang on. Hang on, let me just share. This is the one that she shared, which seems really good. I was reading it as you were talking about it, about the systemic sclerosis. And the case study that they have is a 21-year-old female student. And it really just talks about, and here are some pictures. Can everybody see this? Can everybody see this? Yeah. So here's some pictures, and look at the sole and the induration. Look at the elbow. And there's a few more: salt and pepper discoloration resembling the skin of elephant. I've actually seen this in people in India as well. So this comes under if you look at Charak Samhita, this comes under Kushta. So when you research it, look for Kushta Rog. So, if you're looking for an actual Kushta Rog, so there is a whole category of Kushta Rog in Charak Samhita and Ayurvedic textbooks. So this is under Kushta, and it says the joint manifestation point towards Ama Vata, which means that Ama and Ama and Vata have traveled to Dhatus. And herein they gave Agni Deepan, they did Am Pachan, they started Hingavashtak Churnam, Abhyanga oil massage. Yashti Madhu is licorice oil. They did, forget this is not, you cannot find them. They did some Sarjan Kram for 3 days. They did medicated enemas. They did Shirbala Tail, which is available. I have it with me. Very, very good for the skin and the body. It's available by Arya Vaidyashala, and Arya Vaidyashala will actually send your stuff here to US. And I have clients who actually get them regularly. And of course, the main thing is Kaishor Gugulu and Manjushtadi Kwata. And if you don't have Manjushta Kwatha, just take Manjushta and make a decoction out of it. That will do. And Kaishor Gugulu. So this will address both autoimmune, and it will address. Also, these can be offered to Mars, Hanuman. So before these herbs are given to her, they can be offered to Hanuman. So this one is really good. She actually, she was able to perform normal activities. And so thank you, Dr. Aparna, for sharing this. This is wonderful.
All right, so the pearl, major things going on. He got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis at 16, type 1 diabetes in 1983, and had a colectomy in 2001. Now the colectomy, he doesn't have a colostomy bag. He's got what he calls a pouch. So they took some of the intestines and formed a pouch for a colon out of his upper intestine. So it's his own tissue. That's the colostomy bag, but he calls it a pouch. And he's got a hypothyroid condition. So he's taking antibiotics for what he's calling pouchitis. Because apparently, the pouch gets infected often. He's taking insulin. He's got one of the little insulin pump things around his waist. And he's taking the thyroid medication. So the supplements he's taking, he is very conscientious about his health. So he's doing what what's been suggested to him. So he's taking milk thistle, polypsylium, vitamin D, multivitamins, B complex. He's a college professor. He doesn't exercise much. And so I put down mind work because he's mostly, working with his mind, not his body, day in, day out. So let's see, his eating habits. He eats organic. He eats, cauliflower, broccoli, carrots, cilantro, celery, cooked variable. His appetite is variable. He'll eat, he says, white meats every day. Rarely drinks any soft drinks, coffee or tea or alcohol. And he'll drink Pinta purified water. So he's always have a bottle of that with him. So sleeping is an issue for him because he'll go to bed, he'll say like 11:30 and then sleep 4 hours. And then he'll have to get up starting at 4 every hour to use the restroom because of the colostomy pouch. He doesn't exercise. He'll take an occasional walk. And he's heavy, feels heavy and tired after eating almost to the point of dozing off. Very lethargic in the morning. He'll have some energy later in the evening. He's got dry yellowish skin. Let's see, his kind of a pitta proportioned body. His tongue is, pitta shaped. And he's got yellowish ama down the middle and the back half of his tongue, kind of right in the colon area of the tongue. He's got some very pronounced yellow ama. He's got salt and pepper hair that's kind of coarse and thick, and he's proportional body. He's not lanky or heavy, but he's underweight when you look at him. Even though he's got a well-proportioned, he's underweight. Now, when I examined him, I'd got much more experience on taking pulses, and he's got the jumping pulse, but it's under the index finger and partly under the middle finger. So as I recall, it was like if you took a toothpick and pushed it up against your fingers in a jumping motion under the index finger and the middle finger without any spikes, that was kind of what it felt like if you were, I don't know if that made sense. What I'm kind of interpreting that to mean is the pitta is not in the pitta spot, it's moved into the vata, into the colon. And he does have loose stools, with yellow ama in the stools and a strong odor to them. That's a long breakdown. Let's get down to when I did his Prakriti and Vikriti. He's a bit of kapha, but his Vikriti is now strong pitta. When you look at the questionnaires and things, yes, he's got his Vikriti is pitta. And when you look at his digestion, the fact how slow his digestion seems to be in the stomach, it's he's heavy and lethargic and sleepy after eating, even though he's eating that healthy organic diet. So he's had lots of trauma to his colon. I mean, that from the colitis that happened when he was a teenager. So it looks like his Agni is weak. His digestion is slow. Let's see. But I want to get some discussion on is when I look at this case study, his Agni is weak, and I think I want to strengthen his Agni right off the bat, but he's got Pitta in his colon. So I want to increase the Agni in his stomach, but not aggravate the colon even further than it's aggravated. So it's like his Pitta has moved from the stomach into the colon, and I want to bring it back into the stomach. So I haven't recommended much to him. I recommended, stop the cold water, eat your biggest meal in midday, so you don't have as bad of, you're not getting up in the middle of the night tending to your bowels all night. He pushed back a little about that because if he eats a big meal in the middle of the day, he's worried about having to go to the restroom with his pouch while he's at work. So my questions, or what I want to discuss is, if I give him the Triphala, Trikatu, ginger kinds of things to increase his Agni, will that further aggravate what's going on in his colon? So I haven't recommended any herbs or anything yet, because I wanted a discussion on that. Plus, he's an insulin-dependent diabetic and taking thyroid medication. I don't want to give him herbs that's going to aggravate what's going on, aggravate diabetes or thyroid. I'm going to go back. Does anyone want to see any more of this?
Brian, I found it. Let me also put this up on the screen for everybody to read. Hang on.
Okay. They can see it. Yeah. So, summary, yeah, I want to increase his Agni. He's got all kinds of Ama because his Agni is weak. And he's just open to eat whatever's recommended.
So, Brian, what is his Prakriti?
His Prakriti?
Yes.
It's his Prakriti is Pitta, Pitta-ish Kapha. If you go down a few slides to my pictures. Oh, there you go. So he's the blue is the Prakriti.
Got it. All right.
So the red is the Vikriti.
Kapha should have gone up, not down. You think Kapha has gone down?
Yes.
Okay.
He's underweight, and his Ama is of the yellowish, not the whitish variety.
Got it.
In coloration.
So I'm going to start with Dr. Aparna. If you have any questions or additions. Aparna ji?
It's Monica ji. I'm sorry. I was just writing something to Brian privately.
Oh, okay.
Brian, did you get my...
Let's see.
I was focusing
on... Okay, I see a lot from you. Okay, let me...
I was just focusing, actually, I think you did a great job. I was focusing on, actually, the Sanskrit.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm talking about, Brian?
Let's see.
You said Dhatu Kshaya. It should be Kshaya, not
I see it, yeah. I'm sorry. Oh. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
And can you take me to the page where there's the arrow with the Agni?
Yep.
This should be Oops.
That's just below.
Just
That's
got
just
it.
below where we're at.
There you go.
Yep.
Should be not Vishagini because that means poison. Vishama.
Okay. Yeah, I got your. I got your. I got your comment.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be nitpicky, and of course I'm not expecting
Well,
you to
no,
know
you
French
gotta.
because it's not your language, but I just want to make little corrections only because I read so many blogs out there where people just misspell things left and right, and then I just kind of wonder, the teacher didn't catch them. So I just want to let you know before.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Good catch.
I think your work is fantastic. I'm not trying to be nitpicky or anything. Or
Do you
hurtful.
see this? I mean, the rest of the students can use this as a, guide. He's made all these indicators for all the dhatus.
I think it's fantastic.
It's great.
Really well organized. It's such a pleasure to read, too.
All right, let me look at the summary here. I'm trying to read it as well. I'm always, personally, when somebody has insulin-dependent diabetes, and since I am not an MD or a DO, my focus is always really the diet. And this person is a little complicated. Brian, kudos to you. First, I feel sorry for him. May God bless him. You find a little bit complicated cases. This is Mandagini. Then, of course, he also had ulcerative colitis when he was young. So, the pitta, that means lack of cletha cough. I don't know if there's any, he still has any symptoms. And then he has this pouchitis, which is, and he's on thyroid medication and so on. But at least he's open to, he's taking some supplements. What you're talking about, moving the Agni, the one thing with Pitta is, we don't, the Virachan, the Panchakarma for a Pitta person, all you have to do is give them herbs. Now, how much he is open to herbs, I don't know. You mentioned the drinking of 1-2 liters of water. I would just make the first change right here. You mentioned cold water. Add a lot more soups. And another thing, yeah, I understand he's scared of using the bathroom at work. But if you could convince him that this would actually make his life better, having a larger meal. But if he's not open to that, it is okay. He can have 2 smaller meals in the afternoon. So he can have one small meal, maybe 11:30, and another small meal at about 2:30. The reason being the pitta energy peaks between 11 and 3. It's still at the peak, so he can get away with having 2 small meals at this time. If it was a vata, maybe not. Kapha, maybe not, but yes, he can get away. So if he can, yeah, because I'm thinking, how is he digesting that water and he doesn't need to use his pouch? Because that water also needs to be digested.
Right.
And, having hot water, warm water, soups, and I know he doesn't drink tea, but if he's open to drinking, like even just half a cup of teas, herbal teas, I mean, I don't know if he would be, but just to get him start off with maybe half a cup, and he will, this is how he needs to be getting his water. So that is definitely the right way to go, number 1. And let me just put this to Aparnaji. How would you give a diet or Ayurvedic plan for someone who's insulin dependent?
It's a really tricky one.
It is.
Yeah, it's such a fine balance. I mean, they have to really be on. Did you say, Brian, he had an insulin pump?
Yeah, he's got the pump that you wear on your waistband with the little tubes going in.
I mean, Monica, I'd probably have him limit just to sweets and concentrated sweets, that is, but I think, as long as he's keeping an eye on his blood sugars. He'll have to that's something he'll have to titrate with time to see what gives him spikes. It's a tough one.
That is a tough one. I usually wouldn't, when they're like that, I wouldn't give anything. My focus is only on food and diet. And also some of the things that he can actually use, and I don't know if he lives alone or someone cooks for him, is actually use some things which are great for diabetes. It is white turmeric or just turmeric root. And then, of course, Ginnima tea. And if he's open to taking ghee, simply just taking a little bit ghee in his diet.
Methi might also be helpful.
Yep.
What was that?
Methi? Oh, fenugreek?
Fenugreek?
So, Brian, if you go to an Indian store, they sell the fenugreek leaves that can be used like rosemary or dill. And usually it's called kasuri methi, or, fenugreek leaves. They're just dried fenugreek leaves. They're so much easier to digest. And when you're, when you're dealing with like a professor, like, you just making maybe potatoes or veggies. He likes these cruciferous vegetables. So just spreading them, these cooked cauliflower, fenugreek leaves on the top, it actually tastes like dill. Yeah, it kind of tastes like dill. Brian, you have a question there?
Yeah, well, okay, so we're not doing any heating herbs or anything. We're just doing hot soups and ghee and herbal teas. Yeah. We're not trying to.
You can give him things that bring down, bring down the pitta back by giving. Ghee itself is the best pitta pacifier. And I'm just thinking, if he can actually get away with taking milk thistle, then he can probably get away with taking amalaki too. Also guduchi. And this should bring back the pitta back in balance. Both amalaki and guduchi are rasayanas. And just like milk thistle, guduchi have similar properties. So if he takes it regularly, yeah, Bhumi amalaki would even be better. Thank you for reminding me, Aparnaji. Leah,
no,
you
he doesn't.
I'm sorry,
he doesn't have prostate issues.
I'm sorry, did you say he did not?
No, he doesn't.
Okay, because I see that he's on soft palmetto, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I think that's just something that, men that age here, they should be taking that so their prostates don't enlarge.
Got it.
But I don't think he doesn't have any issues.
That's interesting. So, Leah, what are your suggestions?
Yeah, I just typed in the chat window that Brian was concerned with the heating herbs for his mandagni, but it's the insulin-dependent diabetes that's causing his, lethargy and stuff after he eats. It's not.
Okay, so it's not.
Mandagni. Yeah, so that's why they're focusing on the. That would just be my. They're leading you in the.
One of my main questions of trying to share this one. Okay.
Also, Bhumi amalaki, it's not going to heat him up. Between the Bhumi amalaki, amalaki guduchi with ghee, yeah, bitter melon is good if he's open to it, but these things are rasayanas. And the reason I suggested, especially guduchi, because it has, they have an effect on the liver and pancreas also, and that's where the issues are, and it's not heating. It's actually balancing the agni and balancing the pitta and bringing pitta back into where it needs to be. So, and it's similar to something that he's already taking. But yeah, bitter melon is also great. But fenugreek leaves is really good, Brian, because you can just, you can sprinkle them on, I don't know, salad, and if he's already cooked, it's just like an herb. It's so much easier to use.
Yes. Okay, and so as far as the polyphyllum goes, I think he's using that as a stool binder.
Yes. Yeah, and ghee would help anyway. And I would even go and use Triphala, or even yeah. I'm just actually scared for the whole insulin. I don't want to give too many herbs, but I think these just to bring the between the fenugreek leaves, turmeric, and these I would say, and having teas. He's making an effort. I think he'll probably sedentary because he doesn't have a lot of energy.
Yes.
So,
And I think he also has, concerns about his health, which, is understandable.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also concerned that he needs to, he uses antibiotics again and again, and if he's using turmeric root, I don't think it'll get to the point where he would probably would need less antibiotics, because at some point they're going to stop working for him, as his body gets resistant to the antibiotics, and, he gets a larger and larger doses. So using turmeric regularly is not going to harm him, but definitely giving it with ghee, because turmeric is drying and heating. So turmeric with ghee is definitely my top. The Gymnema tea, fenugreek leaves, and these three, I would say. Because the focus is, why is his energy low? I would say Hetu probably, diabetes is the root cause of a lot of things, and that's why energy is low. That's why, like Leah said, he is mandagini. That's why he has hypothyroid issues.
Mm-hmm. What imbalance leads to type 1 diabetes?
Dr. Aparna, do you want to answer that?
It's really, from a medical standpoint, it's an autoimmune problem where pancreas is
autoimmune.
the body
Okay.
attacks pancreas. But from an Ayurvedic perspective, I was just telling Monica Ji that it would be interesting what Dr. Kirti has to say about this, because she's a diabetologist, an Ayurvedic diabetologist. So from an Ayurvedic standpoint, I'm not sure what the hetu would be.
Brian, I would share her class notes on block 3 with you, because she had done some notes on diabetes. Remember, for you guys, Aparna Ji, when you were doing the block 3, she had done a class on Meda Dhatu and diabetes.
Yes, I do.
I'll share that with, because it is really comprehensive, and Brian, I'll share that with you, and you can ask me any questions, and you can use some of those protocols. All right, I think we are done. Do any of the block 1 students, Christina, do you have anything to, Ileana, do you have any client encounters to share today? You have one? Okay, so we have a block 1 student. She's just finishing off block 1, and she's going to share one. All right, can you,
The person I did this on was a friend of mine who is a female, and her Ayurvedic age is Pitta. Full screen. Okay. So basically, for her Prakriti, she is a Pitta, and then her Vikriti, also Pitta. Her Vata went up slightly, and Kapha went down. And so basically here I have a summary of her subdoshas, but then I went more into detail on them down here. So for Pitta, I identified Rajaka Pitta and Pachaka Pitta as the main subdoshas that were affected. And she explained that her main health issues kind of express themselves in the form of skin issues, so that was her main concern. We also did the Agni test and determined that in line with her Pitta dosha, she experienced Tikshnagni, so she is prone to acidity, and 1 to 2 bowel movements per day is what she experiences. And sometimes if she eats spicy foods or eats too much, she'll experience some indigestion or heartburn. In terms of prana, she seems to have strong energy. She said that sometimes she'll get kind of a slump in the middle of the day, but she has kind of an unusual sleep schedule, going to bed probably too late and also waking up too late. Again, for Tejas, she lacks some luster in the skin and eyes. I guess that's in association with her pitta imbalance. Also interesting, I thought, was that she has a Vyana Vata imbalance. While she is a pitta and would seemingly run warm, she experiences cold extremities. So I wasn't exactly sure why this would manifest. And she also experiences avalabhika kapha. At times, if she eats dairy products, she gets congestion in the chest and will cough after eating certain foods. She said sugar also exacerbates this. So basically, she said that she has a strong immune system in general, rarely getting sick. But like I said before, most health issues that she experiences take the form of skin issues. She does have some eczema on her hands. She gets breakouts occasionally, usually a week before her menstrual cycle. And her menstrual cycle is seems to be short for a pitta person. So I'm not really sure what would cause that, or if that is still normal. It's 3 to 5 days, 2 heavy days. And for her daily routine, she doesn't experience much stress. She, like I mentioned in the Vyana Vata imbalance part, she does have trouble connecting with people, she said. She's close to her family, but other than that, she doesn't have too many friends that she socializes with. She has a good yoga practice and takes certain supplements that she says helps for skin issues and eczema, particularly Cow de Arco. She also takes vitamin B complex because she is mainly vegetarian. Doesn't drink alcohol or eat much added sugar. So I would say that one of the main problems or causative factors is that she does not have a strong daily routine. She goes to bed around midnight daily, waking up at 8 a.m. So I would think that she would benefit for both her Agni and her Pitta imbalance if she were to establish a dinacharya where she was going to bed around 10 and waking up around 5:30. Also, I would recommend her to consume foods that are pitta pacifying, incorporating rose jam, cumin, coriander, fennel, turmeric. She does like to eat a lot of leafy greens and zucchini, which should be beneficial for pitta, but she also likes pungent foods, so I would recommend going off of those. I guess one of my main points of confusion for her was the expression of the aggravation of Vyana Vata, but not the Sadhaka Pitta or Prana Vata. I know that those three go hand in hand, so to only see an expression of Vyana Vata, I thought maybe interesting. I don't know. So basically that sums it up. Like I said, she's not on any other medication. She doesn't have major health issues, and she's really open to making lifestyle changes. So I would just definitely want to give her something that would help alleviate the skin issues she experiences and balance her Pitta and Agni.
Christina, that's wonderful. That's really nicely done.
Yeah.
Thank you. Aparnaji, do you have any additions?
I was just going to say that I think it's a great place to start, and as you fix the pitta issues, her skin issues should also clear up. Manjishta may be good, and then for the eczema on her hands, for now that might be so troubling that, and I'll ask Dr. Single what she thinks too. But for dyshydrotic eczema on the hands and feet, she may, benefit from using some short-term, high-potency steroid for just a little while she gets her pitta balanced, and then switch over to something herbal, like Monica G is mentioning, Manjishta oil, neem oil. But I think as her pitta comes back down, her skin issues will get, will mostly largely clear up.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful.
Aparna, that's a great idea. The one thing when, I don't know how pitta or type A personality she is, Christina, but one thing, it's just like depending on what kind of person. When you have a type A personality pitta and they take any kind of steroid, even if it's for 2-3 days, I think they should be warned. They tend to get, their pitta really tends to come out. They get upset. I had one lady who did that, and she came in my office and she started pulling her hair. She said this is, and all she was doing is she was putting the medication topically on her eczema. Yeah, and I don't think that would happen to a Vata person, or depending on how, if she's kind of in between and not so over the top type A personality, I think she's fine. But the thing with the neem, if she can take neem internally, turmeric and manjishta, I think she'd be fine. The reason I'm saying it, because her aggravation happens mostly in the summer and the pitta season, and I think for now, because it's winter, taking neem, turmeric, manjishta, ghee, she should be fine as far as those go. And I also mentioned, Tracy Ann's comment is really good. Coffee in AM with no food will aggravate pitta, absolutely. And then I also mentioned that I don't know what kind of yoga she does, but pittas tend to overdo yoga. Like we had a student who couldn't finish her block 2 with us because she was going to, your yoga class, what do you call it, Ashtanga, level 2, 5 days a week. And she was working in a hospital doing 12-hour shifts, and then she just crashed and burned out after, 6 months of doing, no, actually she was going 7 days a week. So yes, sandalwood oil would help. The only reason I did not mention Mahachandanadi or sandalwood oil, Sureka ji, it's very hard to get it. And the sandalwood oil that they sell here as sandalwood is not really sandalwood. It's sapanwood. You know how even they sell essential oils in shaving kits and all, this is not real sandalwood. So the Mahachandanadi oil is what we need, and since sandalwood got banned from India, it's very hard to get it. But if someone actually managed to get it, that would be fantastic. You know what would be good, and it is not banned, is Vico, let me write that down, Vico turmeric. This is so fantastic, Christina. This is a little thing that I have been using. I know Aparna, you must have used it, or if you're Indian, from India. Yes, it's like $3 or $4. It's just aloe vera, turmeric, and sandalwood. That's all it is. In a little, and I use it for everything for my kids. Yes. So that would just, for somebody who has skin issues, you just carry it. Do you know about it, Alexis? Just carry it with you everywhere. And, putting it on eczema, it's fantastic. Also, because she's pitta, she's probably drying out also. Always doing abhyanga, and you already mentioned all these things, coconut oil and everything. So that is absolutely fantastic. That would help. Leah, do you have any additions? Yeah, you know what, Christina, I'm so impressed. You gave all the Block 2 students a run for their money. Really good job.
Thank you so much.
Do you have another one, or are you done?
That's the only one I have for now. I'll be doing a second one, but it's not complete yet.
Okay. So I know Sandra, she actually wrote down her client encounters and sent it to me and posted them to me so we couldn't share it. I just wanted to mention, Sandra, you've been amazing. Sandra, you did not give any comments about the diabetes. Can you please say a few things? Because I thought you would say a few things and you didn't. She's been amazing, school teacher. Thank you for, you've inspired me.
Well, thank you. I just mentioned the bitter melon because that was one of the first things you told me to incorporate into my diet when I came to you.
Yes, yes. But that was one of the only things you had. The only reason this guy, Brian's client is, I don't know how open he is, but bitter melon would definitely, if one thing could be part of his diet, I would say definitely bitter melon. It is so amazing for, diabetes.
Exercise is really important. Exercise and some type of exercise every day. If you can even do 10 or 15 minutes of something that helps balance the blood sugar.
Yeah, that is I don't know why we didn't mention it, but yes, that is definitely there. Well, I just wanted to acknowledge Sandra, so amazing because she actually hand wrote her case studies. I would like to say, please, I know 2 of you have already applied to NAMA, and I'm in the middle of making your transcripts. Please apply to NAMA.